Attack me. You're afraid, aren't you? I'll just beat you again, you know? You're always gonna lose. History proves it.
Canada, a broad patchwork of strange stories and local legends, where fact is stranger than fiction. Two men set out on a quest, an attempt to expose these myths and mysteries, and in the process, quilt together a nation's true identity. Frank Wolf and Todd McPhee, an odd pair of cross-dressing, note-taking private dicks investigating the B-sides of Canadian history. Here they will present their case for all to judge, exposing Canada, one mystery at a time.
We're here looking into the history of executions in old Quebec City. This looks like a good place to start. The walls have seen bloodbath after bloodbath. People hanging from the gallows. May look nice now, but it was hell then. So can you tell us any stories of it, like an actual execution, Kathleen, that happened here in Quebec City?
Actually, there's one really interesting one. It's about a man who executed his wife.
Really?
He was sentenced to death.
Domestic violence? Yeah?
He was sentenced to death, and the only way to get out of that was for him to become the executioner.
Really?
And his first day on the job, he had to execute a woman who had been stealing and concealing stolen goods, and it happened to be his wife.
Harsh.
Whoa. They had 5 kids, and it was either he executed her or they both died.
Immense ethical dilemma. He didn't really have much choice if he wanted to take care of his kids. He had to become the executioner or else just abandon the kids to the street.
Everyone from the city would gather here to watch the person being executed.
They would just kind of pile around like a Coliseum kind of setting?
They would cheer them on, throw peanuts.
And what kind of crimes would they have committed? Like the one you said was just
They
stealing.
could steal a chocolate bar and be executed.
A chocolate bar?
I think there's a different interpretation of bad back in the executioning days of Quebec City. Anything that broke an actual commandment was a death sentence, pretty much.
You're on death row. How do you get out of being executed?
To become the executioner.
That's the only way.
That's the only way, pretty much.
It's quite unjust that the society needs someone to kill off a whole bunch of people for misbehaving.
Yeah.
And the only way they can get that person is by putting them into a horrible ethical circumstance where they only have one real choice, which is to kill people.
When you are the executioner, you live in poverty, people hate you, no one talks to you. It's a terrible life being the executioner because you're the one responsible for taking these people's lives.
Seen the sight of all these executions and heard about the kind of morbid conditions inside the jail, so now we're going to go and try to check out an actual jail from the old Quebec death row.
Right here, you're in the rooms of the Quebec City Common Jail.
And this is death row.
This would be the isolation cells here, and condemned prisoners were also kept here.
And what kind of crime would put you on death row?
Well, mostly you'd have to murder somebody, but some people were put on death row for crimes such as stealing a cow. If they didn't like you.
The cow? Still wasn't a picnic. I mean, they were manacled in there. The entry was really narrow, so no one could escape. The guards could block them off, and the cells were probably pitch black.
Hangings usually took place on the weekends. It was actually quite a theatrical performance. They had 2 executioners dressed head to toe in black, including a black cape, and with their hands, even their hands, down to the hands, covered in coal. The prisoner would step out on the balcony in front of the building and give his final speech.
In front of
In front of crowds of thousands.
Wow.
1,000, right? So the executioner's all black, like the angel of death or something.
Not a comforting sight that morning.
Not a comforting sight, but it was entertainment in the 19th century because thousands of people actually showed up to these things.
I wouldn't mind dressing up and going around as an executioner. Maybe doing a few, for show executions. Just light entertainments.
Light hangings.
Yeah, light hangings. But the full thing, I know, it'd be horrible. What do you think people in the whole town thought of the executioner anyways?
Probably gave him some room.
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably did.
Don't go near that guy.
They didn't want to mess with him.
We want more execution stories.
Well, I do have a love story. Or is it? His name was Jean Corollaire. When he was in jail, within the walls of his jail cell, he heard the voice of a young girl. and her name was Françoise, and she had a beautiful, sweet voice.
Hello? Mademoiselle next door, hello?
Hello.
Hello, monsieur.
What is this voice?
My name is Françoise.
I am Jean.
I think Françoise was definitely playing Jean, who was merely there for a 12-month sentence.
You sound like a very handsome man.
Well, yes. And to get out of just this relatively short sentence, he said, yes, I'll be the executioner for all my life. Why would he do that?
My theory is because he fell in love with this woman's voice, and he knew that she would eventually be executed, and the only way out for her was to marry the executioner.
And how do I become the executioner?
Just put your hand up and volunteer, baby.
Is it possible that you could just fall in love with a disembodied voice?
If you're in a prison cell, it's kind of soothing to have someone speaking a nice.
Can you say 1-900? If I was in the same position, I'd probably do the same thing. And I had the choice to seduce him in order not to be killed. You know, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Quite fetching. I have long blonde hair, blue eyes that will pierce your soul, and a very womanly figure, if you know what I mean.
So she played him.
Pretty much. Or she could have been actually in love with him. It depends how you look at it.
It's true.
So I will become the executioner.
And marry me?
Yeah, that.
You said yes. You've made me the happiest woman in the world. Sweet Jean.
She played him.
Kathleen, play or no play?
I go for no play.
I gotta break the tie here. I'm going play. You got played.
It's a horrible job. I mean, you have to wear these black cloaks and you paint your hands in black, and no one in the street wants to go near you. You have no friends. You're the embodiment of death in the community. Would you do it?
I'd choose life. I mean, someone's gonna kill these people anyways. Might as well be you. Gives you a lot of street cred, probably. People give you space. So that's not a bad thing.